Hello, thanks for stopping at my channel. My name is Adele, and if this is your first time here, make sure to hit the subscription button below. Give me a like, and wait, when you hit the subscription button, wait until it opens so that you can put your information into your email, and you will be notified when I do a video. I want to talk a little bit about Pluto. Pluto is the planet of transformation. It's the planet of politics. And it's, most of all, it's the planet of change. Pluto also has much to do with the LGBTQ community, because if you notice, you judge the planet by what's happening with it. Pluto went into the sign of Capricorn in 2008. And it will be there until December of 2024. So we got 5 more years that we have got to see what kind of transformation that this planet is going to make in our political affairs. It will be permanently in Aquarius going into 2024. Boy, I want to see what kind of changes that's going to be, because, of course, you know, Uranus has to do with revolution, and I hope that we're not going to have the kind of revolution that tears up countries and societies. It's in the sign of Capricorn, where it is just not operating very nicely. Saturn, key word is I use. I use everything that I see. It rules greed at its lowest point. This is not all Capricorns. Don't get me wrong. Now, don't start saying that Adele said this happens with all Capricorns. It is not so. It depends on how the energy is working and through what sign it's working through, and whether that sign is at its best. It rules brutality, and it rules obstructions, oppositions, and something else I like to think about looking at Saturn. It rules tattoos. The whole world look like they want to tattoo themselves, which sometimes is very nice looking, and sometimes it's just a little bit too much. However, the LGBT community has made great strides. LGBTQ community has made great strides with Pluto in this sign, because Pluto has much to do with the gay community. And that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with what's happening on our planet. I think it's justified. However, with Pluto in this sign, it's going in the sign of Capricorn, it's bringing out some of the most violent aspects of that planet, because Pluto can be very violent. Only thing that we have saving and grace with Pluto is that when it tears up things, it will allow you to rebuild. Not like Uranus. When Uranus destroys something, there's nothing to be rebuilt. You have to begin again. But with Pluto, you can rebuild from, if you got something left, something to the structure, you can rebuild it, make it over. The carpenters can come in and make a new house from it, as long as some foundation is left there. And with all this energy going on, this is what allows for the shootings in the schools and any kind of violence that's going on right now. You can almost look at Pluto in the sign of Capricorn and say, where are you? What is it doing? We're going to be dealing with this to 2024. So what can we do about it? Well, the only thing that I see that we can do about it, we have to educate our people. We have to educate us to be aware of where we are, what we're doing, and who we're with at all times. We have to teach. And Pluto also has much to do with all these drugs that we see. Drugs and drug dealers and people who make money off of the people. Pluto also has to do with all the people that you see that are leaving the countries coming here, coming through Mexico, Honduras, and those countries, because of the gang violence, because Pluto rules gangs and gangsters and gang violence. And they're not going to be able to stop these people from running, because these people are running for their lives. This is what Pluto is doing on the planet. It's tearing up whole communities, cities, uh, planets, not planets, I don't mean that, but it's just tearing up everything where people should be stable. It's not allowing it to happen. What can we do about it? As I said before, we just have to talk, teach our people to be aware and what's going on. And when it comes to the drugs, we have to be almost like I think it was Mrs. Reagan, who have to be able to just teach your children to just say no. And start when they're young of teaching them, because we got 5 years to deal with this. One thing about Pluto, I'm thinking if we get enough medical help, that some of the people's lives that have been destroyed will be able to be rebuilt, because Pluto do believe in transformation and change. When we get to 2024, Pluto is going to go into the sign of Aquarius, and I'm just wondering about that, because when Pluto goes into Aquarius, Aquarius, of course, is Uranus, and Uranus, of course, rules revolution. And I'm just hoping that it's not the type of revolution that tears up cities and blow up things, because Pluto does believe in a lot of violence. It believes in kidnapping, and some of this, I've noticed that some of that has been curtailed, because Saturn has just said, well, don't kidnap them, just do away with them. And I was looking at some of the politicians. Saturn rules opposition and obstruction. And that's what we've been getting a lot of obstructions, a resistance to law. Pluto in the sign of Saturn is making them not obey the law. They don't want to do what our Constitution say that they should do. So we're just going to have to work on ourselves by educating ourselves that we will not fall victim to some of this. And I believe that we can overcome much of this if we do our meditations. And Pluto, of course, is spiritual, which it could be reacting to some of that change that needs to come to the planet. Also, I want to say a little bit about where some of this violence will take place. As I have said on some of the other videos, much of this is going to happen out into the open. And the reason I'm saying into the open where we know about it, because these are cardinal. This is a cardinal sign, which means Pluto has to do with ruling Aries too, which is like out in the open. If you notice, most of the things that happen, they happen where people gather. That's some of the violence. Now, if you look at the people that's coming through from Mexico, it's out in the open where everybody can see. They're even putting the children out in the open. Pluto is all saying, well, separate them. They don't need to be with their families. So we have to just educate ourselves as to what's going on our planets. Work with ourselves. Do your meditations. If we all work together, there's just but one mind. It's a universal mind that we're going to try to make some of these changes come about through our meditations. Whatever you call meditation, some of us call it prayer. That's the same thing. It makes no difference. So if you will get with your groups and try to work on some of the things that's happening on our planets to make some changes, because this is a very, 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 very powerful period that we're going through on the planet. And so until next time, happy meditation.